Okay, we're doing section 10.2. We're doing conic sections. This time we're going to do circles. After doing all that elaborate stuff we did with parabolas, these circles will be easy. Let's get started. Here is a circle. And a circle is a set of points. It's with a fixed distance or radius from the center. So you've seen a circle before in geometry, most likely. Even if you haven't taken geometry yet, you've seen one. And out here is a radius, distance r. And that same distance comes out any direction that I go, it comes out. Let's try to derive that circle of the equation. We're going to have a center at the origin. We're going to make r the distance, and we're going to use the distance formula for this. So if we plug in, and I have some point out here, starts at 0, 0, and then some out here, and this is the x comma y. And if we plug those 0, 0 and the x, y's into the equation, we get this one right here. I'm going to square both sides. And that 0, x minus 0 is just x, and y minus 0 is just y, and I will end up with this one. We can kind of flip it around to look like this one, and that's your general equation of a circle. Let's do a problem so you can see how it works. I'm going to write the general equation. It was x squared plus y squared equals r squared. All right? We said that the center was at the origin. And if r squared is in the same spot as that 4, that means our r equals 2 because we take the square root. So from the center, we move out 2, and out 2, and out 2, and out 2, and we try our best to get a nice round circle from this. It did ask us a question. It asked us to identify the center and the radius. So our center is at 0, 0, and our radius was 2. Our circles can shift. They can shift up, down, left, and right, just like our parabolas did. So here's the equation for the shift. I want you to notice that we have an h and a k like we've had all along. That center is at h comma k for this one. So I'm going to give you an equation, and let's see if we can figure out what the center is. For this one, our standard form had a negative h, so we have to take the opposite of this, which is going to be 5, negative 5, and then we have to take the opposite of that's going to be positive 2. So our center will be at negative 5, 2. But our radius is at the end, and to get our radius, we just have to have r, not r squared. So this is r squared, so r will be the square root of 36, which is 6. So we just pull them right out. All right, so they want the center and the radius. The center is the opposite of this and the opposite of that, so it's going to be 1, 4. And the radius is going to be the square root of 1, which is 1. So we're going to come out here at 1, 4. And we're going to go 1 up from all sides and put a dot. And do our best to draw a round figure, not some kind of diamond looking thing. All right, there's our circle. Now this one is a little different. This one does not in that transformational form. So we're going to have to get it that way. We're going to collect the like things together. And the constant on the other side. So we're going to collect the x's next to each other and the y's next to each other. So we're going to have x squared with next to the 6x. And then we're going to keep a space because we're going to complete the square. Plus y squared. Then we have the 8y. And we're going to leave a space because we're going to complete the square. And we're going to move the 19 to the other side, so we're going to have a negative 19. So we're going to come here and have some pieces. We're going to Take half of that 6, which is 3, and square it, which is 9. We're going to add 9 and then add 9 on this side also. We're going to take half of 8, which is 4, and square it, which is 16. So we're going to add 16. We're going to do that on the other side also. So this is a perfect square. That's why we did the completing the square part. So this is x plus 3 squared. And this is y plus 4 squared. The where we got the 3 was we either halved the 6 or we took the square root of the 9. Same with the 4. We took half the 8, which gives us 4, or we square rooted 16. Now we have to simplify that. We've got negative 19 plus 9 is negative 10, plus 16 is 6. So our radius comes from those. We take the opposite of those. And we will have negative 3 comma negative 4. And our radius comes from the square root of that, and we're just going to keep it square root 6. So we're going to come over here at negative 3 comma negative 4. And here's our center, but we need to figure out what the square root of 6 is. So on our calculator, we're going to estimate that. When I did it on my calculator, I got 2.449. So that's a little under 2.5. I'm going to come out about 2.5 this way and 2.5 that way. 2.5 this way, a little under that, and a little under 2.5 this way. And then draw my circle. All right, we've got our center and our radius and our graph. Let's go to another one. Now we're going to work backwards. I'm going to give you some information and you're going to find the equation. So I'm going to give you the center and the radius. This one's probably the easiest because we're going to just plug it right in. X, we take the opposite of that as positive 7. Don't forget to square it. Then y, and the opposite of that is 4, so we're going to add 4, equals a radius of 9. And if you remember, we had an r squared at the end, and our radius is 9, so we're going to have 81. We have the equation. Let's go to another one. This time we're going to have the center and a point on the circle. So the center can give us part of the equation. So we're going to have x, we take the opposite of the 12, which is negative 12 squared. We have the 16, and the opposite of 16 is negative 16. But we don't have our radius. We're going to find our radius because the radius of a circle is the distance from the center out. So if we find the distance between those 2 points, we will have our radius. So we're going to use the distance formula. We're going to just call it r because that's the radius. We're going to have 12 minus 11, which is 1. 16 minus 14, which is 2. We're going to have 1 squared plus 2 squared. So that's 1 plus 4. So we have the square root of 5. What is the square root of 5? We don't need to realize that because it's going to be squared to go here because r squared goes there. So we're going to just put in plain old 5. We have our equation. Let's do another one. This time we're going to have the ends of the diameter. Well, let's check this out. What does that mean? We have the ends of the diameter. The diameter goes through the center. And we have been given the points on the outside. So we need to find the center. And that's the middle. That's halfway between. So we're going to use the midpoint to find the middle. All right, so the halfway means we're going to add the 2 x's and divide by 2. We're going to add the 2 y's and divide by 2. This will give us our center. So this is going to give us negative 4 over 2, which is negative 2. And that's going to give us negative 16 over 2, which is negative 8. Here is our center. So this gives us part of our equation. It gives us x minus, or x the opposite of that, which is plus 2 squared, and y the opposite of that, which is add 8. And now we need our r squared. So we got to find a radius. There's a couple things there's a couple ways we could do it. We could find the distance between these 2 points and take half of it. Or we have the negative 2 comma negative 8 right there, and we could do the distance formula to one of these to find our radius. So you get to pick the two numbers. I don't know. I like this one because at least there's one positive there. And I'm going to find the radius from one of them to this one. So we're going to come over here and we're going to go the diameter, or the radius in this case, equals 6 minus a minus 2, which is 6 plus 2, which is 8. So I'm going to have 8 squared. And I've got negative 5 minus a minus 8, which is negative 5 plus 8. So that's going to be 3 and 3 squared. So I'm going to have 64 plus 9, which is 73. And I don't have to worry, but that's not a perfect square root because I need to find r squared. So I just squared this and it's just plain old 73. So in this place right here, I put a 73. There is our answer. All right, in this lesson, we learned how to graph circles. We learned how they shift. And we learned how to find the equation given some information. I hope this has been helpful. Goodbye.